Okay, so now we're going to learn some properties of charge. Right, so the first property that charge has is that charge is a scalar quantity. Right, charge is a scalar quantity, so it doesn't have a direction. Right, so the sign that we have for the polarity of the charge, whether plus or minus, that is not indicating direction, it's only the polarity. Right, so keep that in mind. The second property that charge has is that charge is added algebraically to find total charge of the system. Okay, so if there is some system and you want to find the net charge or the total charge on that system or of the system, then we can add the individual charges algebraically. So in form of a formula you could write it as that q of the system is equal to q1 plus q2 plus q3 and so on. Like this, by doing an addition of all the individual charges in that system, we can find out the total charge. So for example, let's say that a hydrogen atom is our system. Okay, let's say that a hydrogen atom is our system. So you know that a hydrogen atom is basically a proton and one electron revolving around it. Right, so if we now find the total charge on this system, the hydrogen atom, so then you could say q on the system, or sigma, okay, you can write sigma as well. So sigma q on the system is equal to charge of the proton plus charge of the electron. Right, okay, so in this particular case, this is going to be 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb for the proton, and minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb for the electron. So total charge of this system will be 0. Right, so this is how you can add the charges for making the total charge or for finding the total charge of the system. Right, now let's go over to the third property of charge, and that is the law of conservation of charge. Right, so the law of conservation of charge. Now just like we have had conservation laws earlier, right, this is also one of the superheroes of physics. Right, okay, so what is the law of conservation of charge? Well, the statement is that in an isolated system, the net or the total charge remains constant. Right, so if there is an isolated system, then the total charge or the net charge in that system remains constant. Right, so for example, let's consider that far away in space, right, let's say that there is one region, okay, which is away from everything else. So let's say this is an isolated system. Now if inside this system, suppose we'd have Na atom and one chlorine atom, right, and roughly speaking, you know that sodium atom and chlorine atoms, they do make a bond by sodium giving away its electron to the chlorine. Right, so ultimately what will happen is that without external influence, without any external external force or anything, right, so what will happen is that the sodium atom will give up its electron. So when sodium atom gives up the electron, it will become Na plus, and chlorine atom, it takes up that electron, so it becomes NaCl, right, Na plus and Cl minus. Now here I am sure you realize that in this case initially the charge on sodium was 0 because atoms are neutral. Similarly, the charge on chlorine atom was also 0. But now finally, we see that because sodium has lost one electron, the charge on it should be plus 1e, or 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. On the other hand, the charge on chlorine will be minus 1e, that is minus 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. But still, even whether you talk about initial or final, like here the total charge on this system is 0 plus 0, right, that is 0 of course, and finally also the total charge on the system is 0, right. You can see the charges cancel each other out. So what this means is that when you have something in an isolated system and it's just interacting within the system, okay, there's no external effect here, so because of that the total charge of the system remains constant, right. So there is no charge coming in from outside or no charge going out also, right. So total charge remains constant, right. So that's the law of conservation of charge, right. Now I can actually give you one more example, which is from real life objects. Like for example, that there is a rod, okay, for example there is a rod, and let's say that we have rubbed it with some kind of cloth, okay, and suppose because of that rubbing what happens is that the rod suppose becomes positively charged, okay, let's say the rod gets some positive charge, and the cloth would obviously then get the opposite, that is a negative charge, right. Then what will happen is that earlier both of them were neutral. Earlier both these bodies, whether the cloth or the rod, both of them were neutral, right. But now finally what we have is that after rubbing these two with each other, the charge on rod, suppose it becomes plus 5e, let's say, then that is because you see 5 electrons would have jumped from here to there, so that's why the cloth will also get an equal amount of charge but negative, right. So this is once again following the law of conservation of charge, that if no one else carried away the charge from this system, then the total charge, earlier also it was 0 and 0, so that's total 0, now it is 5e plus minus 5e, so total is still 0, okay. So the net charge or the total charge on an isolated system remains constant just because uh, charge cannot be destroyed or created, right. So it is just getting transferred from here to here, so that changes the individual values of charge but not the total of the charge, right. So that way the total charge on the system remains constant. Alright, so that's the law of conservation of charge. Okay, the next property about charges is that there is something called quantization of charge, probably S or Z, I don't remember the spelling, okay. There is something called quantization of charge. Now what is the meaning of quantization? Let's start with this word, right. So let me give you an analogy for quantization. Quantization means to be in steps, to always be in steps and not continuous, okay, that is what quantization means, right. So let's think of it. Suppose there is a slope, okay, and you are standing over here, then do you realize that you can go and stand at any point wherever you want, here, 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 any point, right. So you can practically stand at any height that you want on this slope, yes or no, okay. On the other hand, if it was steps, on the other hand if it was steps, okay, so let's say there are steps, okay, and suppose each step is, let's say, 10 centimeter in height, then do you realize that it is impossible to stand at 15 centimeter height from ground? Do you understand that it is impossible to stand at 15 centimeter from ground? This is ground. Everyone, don't forget about interactions, what I told you in the morning. Okay, the more you interact, the more you understand, the better I'll be able to explain it to you. Why can't you stand at 15? Because simply it's that you can't stand in air, right? To stand at 15, you'll have to stand here. Correct? It's not possible. I hope everyone got that. So quantization means that the some quantity always occurs in steps. So where can you stand? You can stand at 0, means on ground, or you can stand at 10 centimeter, or you can stand at 20 centimeter, or you can stand at 30 centimeter, and so on. Can you stand anywhere between 10 and 20? No. Can you stand anywhere between 20 and 30? No. Understood what is meaning of quantization? That it comes in steps. That is called quantization, and all values are not allowed. Okay, if you know, if, if you think of natural numbers, for example, or integers are quantized. Do you get what I'm saying? After 1 you directly get 2. What about 1.1? What about 1.2? What about 1.3? All that is missing, right? Something like that. Okay, so it's in steps. Well, so what is law of quantization of charge? Let's write it. It is as follows, that every charge found in nature, every charge found in nature is a integral, is an actually, as is an integral multiple. Integral multiple means multiplied with an integer. Okay, integral multiple is meaning multiplied with an integer. So every charge found in nature is an integral multiple of a fundamental charge. Okay, every charge found in nature is an integral multiple of fundamental charge. Actually, that fundamental charge is E. Okay, by experiments we have been able to find that this fundamental charge is nothing but E, that is 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb, or the charge of electron, or the charge of proton. Okay, so in formula form, or in form of an equation, what this statement is telling you is that whatever charge is found, charge on any object or particle, okay, whatever is there in nature, that charge q will always be some integer multiplied by E. Did you understand what the sentence is telling you? Okay, now you might have, okay, let me just write it in one more formula form. We can write it like this: q is equal to NE, where n is some integer. All right, we can write it as q is equal to NE, where n is some integer. That integer may be positive, may be negative, may be 0 also. For example, it may be q equal to minus 2e. Did you understand? Or it may be q equal to 7e. Okay, or it may be q equal to 0 into E, means 0, neutral. Did you understand this one? Did you understand the examples 1, 2 and 3? But it can never be, this fourth one is not true. It can never be this. Understood? Or it can never be this. Clear? Okay, 4 and 5 are wrong. Such charges have never been found in nature. Such charges have never been found in nature. Clear? Such charges simply are not there in nature. All right? Okay? Right. Now you might have a question. You might have a question. How do we know that there is such a law? Actually, this is called law of quantization of charge, but you can also call it quantization, right? So there is a law of quantization of charge. The truth is that we don't know why. The truth is nobody knows why there is such a thing. Okay, right? But you know, on one level, once you start going deeper and deeper into physics, when we come to quantum mechanics, we realize that in reality everything is quantized. In nature, everything is quantized, right? Okay, so it's not a big surprise. We are finding in quantum mechanics, we find that momentum is quantized, we find that energy is quantized, we find that position is also quantized, right? So such things are there. Sahil, problem on your side, I think. Everyone can see the screen? Can you see the screen? Yes. Okay. Everyone else can see. Alright, Sahil, you can leave and come back. I think that might solve the problem. Okay. So I was saying that it's not really a big surprise, but again, we don't really know why charge has to be quantized. But if you will think about it, you will get some idea if you focus on the electron. You see, all materials, all bodies or objects that we see around ourselves, right, they are made up of atoms. And atoms basically are getting their charges. Where do atoms get their charge from? From proton and from electron, correct or not? Atoms are getting their charges from proton and electron. All right. So ultimately, if atoms are getting their charges from these two and both of them have this much charge in value, then it's not a surprise that everything can only have one proton, two proton, 100 protons, some electrons, right? You can't have half electron. You get what I'm saying? You get what I'm saying? You can't have half electron. That is a simple way to explain why there is quantization. But again, let me tell you, this is not the perfect way, but yes, we can get some idea about it like this, okay? Because half electrons don't exist or half protons don't exist. All right, okay, fine. Right, so that's about quantization of charge. So you should know which values are allowed and you should know which values are not allowed. Okay, which values allowed and which values are not allowed. Fine. Now let's go over to the next thing. This, you could say it's a property of charge also, but overall I'm not so sure whether this might be given in your book. This was number 4, so you could put a next one, number 5. Charge can only be possessed. I explained this earlier in the morning as well, but anyways, charge can only be possessed by matter, right? Charge can only be possessed by matter. Okay. Yeah, of course, Dia, that's a good question, right? Even I have that question, right? Dia is asking whether how is it that electron, protons, and neutrons are there inside atoms, right? How did they get there, right? So basically, we should ask opposite question: why are atoms made up of electron, protons, and neutrons, right? Okay, a lot of interesting science theory behind it about Big Bang and all that, right? How universe was made and what happened after that. Okay, anyways, sticking to the point here. So like I said, charge can only be possessed by matter, right? Vacuum cannot have charge. I explained that in the morning as well, right? Vacuum cannot have charge, right? So this is, you could say this is a property of matter also, but either way, right? Okay, so these are These are some basic ideas about the properties of a charge, right? So don't forget again that polarity, we talked about polarity, didn't we? Right? We talked about polarity. Polarity only tells you the type of charge. Polarity only tells you the type of charge. It doesn't tell you which charge is more or less, remember. Okay, polarity only tells you the type of charge. It doesn't tell you which charge is more or less. All right, Mahavir, I hope that's enough. You saw what you wanted to. Okay. Fine. Now, after this, we're going to, talk about a property that happens with charge transfer, some phenomena that happens with transfer of charge, and that is mass. You see, we have understood that charge is transferred by transfer of electrons. Most of the times, charge is transferred by transfer of electrons, right? But electrons carry mass, yes or no? Think about it. Electrons also carry mass, right? So let's say that we have a rod, okay, and a silk cloth was rubbed with it, okay, and now suppose this rod is positively charged and this is negatively charged. So what has happened is earlier both were neutral. Remember, atoms by default are neutral, right? So this would be neutral and this would be neutral. Okay, but then when you rub them against each other, what's going to happen? Some electrons will jump from this to this. Some electrons will jump, that is, they will be transferred. All right, I was using jump just as an easy word. They will be transferred from this to this. So do you realize that this rod has lost little bit of mass? Do you realize that this rod has lost little bit of mass? Yes or no? Devers, we are not talking about whether they will attract or repel. Okay, that's a different thing. I'm talking about what will happen to the rod's mass. Not clear? Every electron that goes from rod to cloth, every electron that goes from rod to cloth will have some mass, isn't it? How much mass? 9.1 into 10 raised to minus 31 kg. So when it will go there, it will carry its own mass. So rod will lose little bit of mass and this will gain little bit of mass. Yes or no? Why? Because now it has some electrons extra. So basically it's like I'm asking you, which has more mass, Na or Na plus? Which do you think has more mass, Na or Na plus? Come on. Which do you think has more mass? अरे ना 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 केम કહો છો? Yes, because electron has gone, right? So this has more mass. Did you understand? Did you understand? This has more mass, this has less mass compared to that. Okay, fine. So something similar going on here. Understood? Something similar also going on here. Okay, fine, fine. Okay, now let's solve some questions based on this idea. Okay, from textbook first of all. So let's go to example 1.2. Don't worry about the previous example. We will not skip it. We will do it. Okay. Just that I'm not following books order. That's it. Okay. We will definitely cover each topic. So example 1.2. Yeah, all properties are over. In book only 3 are given. I just detailed it and mentioned more. All right. Okay. So if 10 raised to 9 electrons move out of a body to another body in 1 second. So in 1 second, how many electrons go out? 10 raised to 9 electrons go out or move out. Okay. Then how much time is required to get a total charge of 1 coulomb on the other body? So first of all, we will understand the question is that suppose this is some body and electrons are leaving from this body, okay? Then gradually charge stored or charge developed will increase and ultimately this charge will become 1 coulomb. Okay, I'm writing capital Q this time. Clear? Ultimately the charge will become 1 coulomb. So how much time will it take? That's what we have to find. How much time will it take? Okay. So first of all, let's find out how many electrons are required. We can say that if you have got a charge Q, then one electron has a charge E. So n electrons will have charge Ne. Is this clear? Where n is number of electrons, where n is number of electrons lost, okay, or moved out. Did you understand this, everyone? One electron has charge E, then n electrons will have charge Ne, which is Q. Okay, now from this we can find how much time will it take, because in 1 second 10 raised to 9 electrons go out. So I can say therefore n should be equal to 10 raised to 9 into t. Is this understood? Where t is time. In t time, these many electrons go out in time t. Go out in time t. Understood this sentence? Okay, now we can find that time t. So q, combine both equations. Q is equal to 10 raised to 9 t into e, right? I hope that part is clear. So this is n's value. Now 1 coulomb, SI unit is coulomb, 10 raised to 9. Time we have to find. Charge of electron 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 in value. So ultimately T is equal to 10 raised to, 1 upon 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 10. In 1 second, 10 raised to 9 electrons go out. Then how many electrons will go out in time t? Can you relate this? Okay, so what do we get? 6 point, okay, 0.625, 1 upon 1.6 is 0.625 into 10 raised to 10. That is t is equal to 6.25 into 10 raised to 9 seconds. Understood? I divided. I have not done anything else. I just divided these two. It's very easy division. 1 upon 1.6 is 625. Okay. Right? Method clear? So it will take this much time. Many hours, isn't it? This will take many hours. Actually, 1 coulomb is a big value of charge. Right? Charge of 1 electron is so small. Only 1.6 into 10 raised to minus 19 coulomb. Right? That's the small charge of an electron. Okay? Right. Fine. Now, let's go to a similar question in the exercise. Everyone. Let's go to a similar question from the exercise. Okay. Now that question is number 11. Question number 11. That's going to be the last thing we do today. Okay. Question 11. Right. From the exercise. a polythene piece is rubbed with wood is found to have a negative charge of this much. So what are we doing? We are taking a piece of plastic, polythene. Okay, let's say this is polythene, and we rub it with wool. Okay, wool is also kind of cloth, right? So these two are rubbed with each other. After that, what are we seeing? What are we seeing? That polythene has how much charge? Polythene gets how much charge? Negative charge, 3 into 10 raised to minus 7. Okay, question clear? Polythene has this much negative charge. Okay, so first of all, when we rubbed these two, electrons would have moved. Electrons would have moved from what to what? P for polythene, W for wool. When we rubbed them, electrons would have moved from what to what? Yes, from wool to polythene, correct. From wool to polythene, yes. That's why polythene becomes negative, right? So electrons would have jumped or transferred from wool to polythene. Okay. Now question is, how many? Estimate number of electrons. Just like we did it earlier, one electron has charge E. Okay, one electron has charge E. Then how many electrons will have this much charge? So Q is equal to Ne. Okay, okay or not okay? We can find number of electrons like this. Understood? So N is equal to Q upon E, that is minus, see here, number of electrons can never be negative or positive. So don't worry about the sign. Why is this negative? Because it gained electrons, right? That's why it's negative. So don't worry about the polarity, just put the value. Okay, method clear? Because number of electrons can never be negative. So this is going to give you 3 upon 1.6. How much is that? How much is that, everyone? 3 upon 1.6. I hope you are sitting with a calculator. Yeah. Okay. Yes, 1.875. Everyone, don't be lazy. Okay, don't be lazy. 1.875. 10 raised to 12. All right. These many electrons have been transferred. Right? Easy question. Okay. This is typical MCQ content. Right? They will ask you how many electrons were transferred. Now, is there a transfer of mass from wool to polythene? That is, has mass been transferred from wool to polythene? Yes or no? Has mass been transferred? Yes, because when electrons will go, they will also carry, when electrons will go, they will also carry mass with them. All right. Okay, so they will carry the mass as well with them. If this got a negative charge, we can confirm that charge has transferred, because see, by default, on its own, everything is neutral, don't you think? Right? All things are made up of atoms, and atoms are neutral. So by default, everything is neutral. So now if we know that this has become negative, if this has become negative, that is only possible if charge has been transferred. Understood? Dia, I hope that is clear. Okay, some charge went from this to this, only then it can become negative. All right, so that's it about this question, and here we end today's short class. All right, goodbye everybody. What are you saying, Aditya Raj? This is number of electrons, right? Don't forget 10 raised to 12. I think you are ignoring 10 raised to 12. So if I'll convert it to proper number, it will be 1.8750000, so many zeros, right? So it's not half of an electron. Okay, I hope you got that. Right. Goodbye, everyone.